Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda. All right, good evening, family. How you going? Half unorganised, half unorganised here, guys. How are you? Got through another week nearly, haven't we? Oh, we have got through a week, really. But anyway, yeah, it's been another hectic week, guys. But yeah, we're going to start with this here, and then we'll come back in, and me and Cazz will have a chat. Let's go, Cazz.
What about the individuals who refuse to have this number implantation?
We expect some minor resistance, especially from highly motivated religious groups. But eventually, hunger will cause even the most zealous to conform to our program. Gentlemen, I believe that within a year, 2 at the most, our one world government will be a reality. If we continue on our present course, it is my opinion that we could present the devil himself as a world leader, and the people would accept him.
The clip I just showed you was from the 1981 film entitled Early Warning. Initially, this film didn't get much attention. However, it is now 40 years later, and people are starting to notice something a little bit strange. Here, see for yourself.
I would like to thank each and every one of you for your hard work and dedication to our cause. In reviewing this year's progress, let me say that we have been highly effective in conditioning the people's minds to accept our solution to the world's problems. The energy crisis here in the United States was exceptionally successful worldwide, and we expect similar success with our upcoming food shortage. Our labor leaders have made great progress by causing confusion and work stoppages in all areas of the world. Financially, the dollar is being devalued even faster than we could have hoped. Politically, the public has lost total confidence in any form of government. The threat of universal war is a daily possibility. As you know, we ourselves do not need to hold any visible office of leadership. As a matter of fact, it's better that we do not. We control the finances, news media, food, transportation, energy. We control everything. It is important that you, as world leaders, keep our program before your countrymen. With our World Bank and computer program operation, we now have the capacity to control the financial affairs of every human being on Earth by giving each person his own computer number. Anytime his number is used, we would know his financial situation at once. He could not buy or sell anything without his computer number. It will simplify their lifestyles tremendously. The end result will be a one-world monetary and government system that we alone will control. Yes.
What about the people who forget their number or their cards are lost or stolen?
We've made provisions for that. By using this laser imprinter, we can painlessly and permanently affix the person's number to the back of his hand or his forehead if he so desires. The numbers would be easily read by this new ultraviolet scanning equipment. For the purposes of demonstration, I've had such a number imprinted on myself. Once this number is imprinted, it cannot be lost nor can it be changed. Now, are there any questions?
What about the individuals who refuse to have this number implantation?
We expect some minor resistance, especially from highly motivated religious groups. But eventually, hunger will cause even the most zealous to conform to our program. Gentlemen, I believe that within a year, 2 at the most, our one world government will be a reality. If we continue on our present course, it is my opinion that we could present the devil himself as a world leader, and the people would accept him.
So what do you think about this clip from the movie? Please put your opinion in the comments section. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit that like button.
All right, we seem to have lost Dave. He seems to be frozen, so I'm cutting in here. All right, pretty incredible clip. It was from the 1980s, so yeah, you can see that they're problem reaction solution, or they're actually forecasting, or revelation of the method, they call it. Sometimes they put it out, although sometimes some groups have found out about it, and they have created these films to let you know, to give you warning. But usually it's themselves, and what they do is it's a revelation of the methods. So they need us to believe this is going to happen in order for them to bring it about. And that's because they know that we're incredibly creative, powerful people, because we're created in the image of God. And so they need us to believe this, to imagine it, to know that it's coming. But that one, yeah, pretty incredible, especially when you look around and have a look at what's going on in the world at the moment. All right, first of all, let's do, while Dave's out, a shout out to Rocco. Now, this is Rocco's thing. This is on Saturday, which is tomorrow. It's been moved to the RSL Club because the RSL Club is dry, and apparently Helston Park is wet at the moment. So the RSL Club there, and the name of that is, I'll just pull it up for you.
How does your Wi-Fi just like get shut down? Unreal.
Yeah. So it's at the auditorium now at Helston Park, RSL. So, and that's due to floods. And their special guests are Mona and Renee, and they'll be speaking on the law side of things, I'd imagine. So, yeah.
All right. Go, Rocco.
Go, Rocco.
Okay, so how far did we get through the clip? We got through it, did we? I didn't see anything. So my Wi-Fi just shut down, man. Like, you know.
No, we watched it, and I just did a bit of a talk on it about the revelation of the method and how they need to put things out. So it may have been somebody who understood what was coming and doing a warning, or it may have been them putting it out themselves, the revelation of the method, because they need us to believe that it's going to happen in order for them to bring it about. Because it's just what they believe. They believe that they believe we're incredibly powerful, and we know that we're created in the image of God, and that's why they have to do these things. So,
and they think we're incredibly powerful, and we know we're incredibly powerful, and that is the problem.
That's right. All right, let's kick it off with Sky News on no, actually, it wasn't Sky News. What was it going to bring in? The I didn't actually pull it up. Oh, maybe I did.
I don't
but it's
know.
gone.
I didn't even get me running, so I got no idea.
Yeah.
Outfit. They were called into the school to do a sex education session. Now, the parents weren't told about this sex education session, and no wonder when you find out the sort of stuff they were being taught about in this sex education session. They were being taught about bestiality, they were being taught about incest, supposedly, because a slide was put up that says LGBTQIA+, and the plus, the instructor claimed, included things such as bestiality and incest. You can imagine that was news to some of the kids in the room, Year 9 students we're talking about here, about 14 years old. Many of them were so disgusted by the stuff they were hearing that they asked the teacher to go to the toilet and never return to the classroom because they were trying to find a way out.
Now, I don't know if that's overemphasized, guys, but, you know, everyone's got onto this story since we put it out earlier in the week. And, yeah, now there's a lot of stuff coming out, but it's good to see that it's out there, all right, and it's getting spoken about, okay, and people, you know, get to your schools. You need to go and find out what is going on in your school, all right, as we do our councils.
We need to actually look at this too, because they're accelerating children's ability or right, so they believe, right to transition, and it's being supported by parents. But have a look at this. So this is a long-term study. So it's a 15-year study, and it concludes that as critics say, it shows that being trans is usually just a phase for kids.
Yeah, it's a phase.
Now, yeah, by the age of 25, just 1 in 24, that's 4%, said they often or sometimes were feeling discontented with their gender. So they just go through a phase where they actually, and look, many people anyway, like I certainly would have been classed as a tomboy, and thank God my parents didn't cut my genitals off and rearrange me, because it was just being outdoors was more fun. Like, you know, it was just, I grew up on a farm, so I was used to being outside. So I would have been classified as that. But there's a whole agenda, and it isn't a satanic agenda, and that is basically to invert things. That's right. And if you look here, this is Codex Magica, and this is by Aleister Crowley. And what he says is, actually, I can't go in, and I can't do that. All right, but look, if you download this book, okay, it is available online, and you do a search for inversionism or backwards, what you discover is that everything had to be backwards. So everything, so if you said that you had to say the Lord's Prayer backwards, you had to read backwards, you had to do everything backwards. Everything had, and it's basically about everything being upside down, and that's just, you know, that's just what they say. Now, along with that, if you look at this book here, which is Codex Magica by Tex Mars, this goes into all of the hidden science, mainly within Freemasonry, but also within like the broader occultic sense and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Luciferian, side of things. Exactly right.
Yeah, well, they actually have a backwards thing, a bit of a backwards agenda as well. But they also talked about instead of the grand designer, it was the great architect. So the grand designer is actually Jesus Christ, God. He created everything, or the great creator, and so everything is an inversionism in order to basically take away from God, because we're created in the image of God. This is why it is actually spiritual warfare. So anyway, just thought we'd add that in. All right,
my word is, guys, you're seeing evil on your doorstep right now. You're seeing evil on your kids' doorstep. All right, you're seeing poisoning in every fashion. All right, every fashion, everything out there, guys, everything. All right, we got clips here we can't even get to, all right, to tell you what's going on, but I think most of you are pretty aware, all right? Go and have a look at my TikTok channel, all right? Yeah, I put out some good articles on there, guys, just reshares, but they are what's going on out there. Yep.
Well, since that came out, the Babylon Bee, of course, hitting it out of the park again, said Democrats warn parents to quickly transition their kids before they grow out of it. And that is the truth.
That is
That
the
is
truth.
the truth.
Unreal.
All right. Let's have a look at this.
About Labor's plans for a digital ID designed to make it easier to prove who you are without having to constantly share sensitive documents like birth certificates and passports and driver's licenses. Here's an explainer from Channel 9.
10.5 million Australians are using MyGov ID for some government services, and there are private systems too, like Connect ID, but they don't work together. Now the government is consulting with business to bring digital IDs into the mainstream.
Making it easier, essentially, to live your life online, but with the minimum amount of sharing of documents.
Liberal Senator for South Australia, Alex Antic, joins me live in the studio. Good to see you, Alex.
Thanks, Chris.
Now, the digital idea was an idea that the coalition government started when it was in office, yet you voted against this last week. Why is the coalition opposed to this now?
Well, look, I mean, I think, Chris, there were a number of amendments that were put forward to Labor's version of this bill. The bill itself is very complicated and badly drafted, and ultimately, I think, a real impost on freedom and privacy. You know, we've seen over the last few years what happens when hackers get hold of this sort of honeypot of data. It's one problem. My personal problem with this, though, is simply that we are looking at what I think is going to become the spine of a future control mechanism over the Australian population. And you can't do the sorts of things you see in places like China with their social credit system until you have a digital ID system in place. So this is a massive, massive issue for libertarians and Australians generally.
Yeah, it's a worry, right? Because a digital identity is something that we're stuck with now. We know that we all have some form of digital identity, and we want governments to maybe protect that. And maybe it helps us a bit if they coordinate that so that we don't have to prove our ID everywhere we go. But how do you do that without the risk of us just government's got its tentacles on everything that we see and do?
I don't think you can, and I think that's the point. I mean, this is always sold for purposes of privacy, convenience, safety. You know, it's often pitched in that term. But really what we're getting here is a system which is going to centralise control and give government the ability to turn people on and off. And we saw that, of course, in Canada with the freedom protests. People, particularly when joined to a banking system, and so, of course, those that are particularly aggrieved by this will say, well, if we get central bank digital currencies, which presumably are on the way, it won't be a long bow to suggest that jaywalking today as a walk home could ultimately result in a fine before you hit the other side of the...
That's exactly right.
That's exactly what they want to do, guys.
Not only that, if you go 1 kilometre over the speed limit, like in any area at all, you'll already have the fine by the time you get to work.
Yeah, and they're going to try and merge a digital ID with their Swift banking system, you know what I mean, and wrap it all in, guys. We know what they're doing, okay? It is up to us. All right, up to us.
That's right. So, look, let's go to this one.
It's 8 a.m. on a Friday. Why don't you come watch the Pauline Hanson Please Explain cartoon? It's only...
Hang on, let me just...
Are you sick and tired of the government not having access to all your personal data? No, not really. Do you sometimes wish you could just store all your sensitive identification documents in one centralised digital system that's designed and operated by the government? Huh? No, not at all. Go away. Well, too bad, because without any debate or scrutiny, we've passed the digital ID bill through Parliament. That's right, we've streamlined the process for you to give us all your sensitive identification documents, and fast. Why be vulnerable to multiple security breaches when you can store all your sensitive data in one convenient, potentially hackable location? I don't know if I like that. But that's not all. Finally, there's a way for our mates in the private sector to get free access to your information with less responsibility. Oh, I'm a bit worried about... What are you worried about? That this is the first step to a Chinese social credit score system? That we're going to track your carbon use and slap a new tax on you? That we're going to shut down your bank account just because you said mean things about me on Twitter? You can do that? Of course we can, but do you really think the government would want that sort of power? Yes. Nah, don't be stupid. You can trust us. This is completely safe, effective, and voluntary. Where have I heard that before? Oi, stop thinking and just volunteer your data already. Wait until the Liberal Party hears about this. This was all their idea anyway. Come on. Why haven't you volunteered your information yet? You'd be
Look, let's just leave it there. But it's very funny. But oh my God, it's just so true. It's funny because it's true. There's more humour in the truth than it. Like it's like.
And
it's
this idiot, idiot has just brought in the biggest, wokest Governor General that you can find, folks. All right, to push what? Just what we showed you at the beginning of the show. Bestiality. All this bullshit in our schools. That's what she represents. All right? That's why they brought her in. This is a move, guys. All right? And she's going to push, and she's not going to give any fight back, mate. Here she is.
Yeah, no, and she's actually even Labor is hardcore Labor people. Has Cameron Miller, who's a Labor strategist, he's actually said she is the queen of woke. Quite frankly, Albanese has given a middle finger salute to every single Australian who voted no to this voice.
Yep,
So,
and just brought her in.
Just brought her in.
Yep. Have we had enough? I'm not allowed to ask that question anymore,
F
but
you.
yeah, I've had enough.
It's basically he's FU.
Yeah, big FU. Yeah, the Australian people.
That's it. Here are the people who somebody's put this together. Here are the senators that actually voted for it.
Yep. All these people sold your country out to the WEF. And don't tell me they don't know. Look at them all smiling. Every one of them got a kickback.
If they don't know, they should know. It's their responsibility to know these things.
Yeah. I wonder if they got a kickback for it. I wonder. I'm just asking. Hey, there's Nancy's sister. There you go. Make them famous, guys. They sold you out to the New World Order, these people. Unbelievable. So did every Labor candidate in New South Wales, including my friends down here, Mr. Allison and Paul Scully and, Mr. Ryan Park. He's all sold us out. Every single one of you guys. Absolute traitors. Yeah, David Pocock isn't even Australian. Exactly right. And he's in there. Anyway.
All right. Now, Billboard Chris was featured on the project. And actually, the project have turned off their comments, which is quite ironic because they're just highlighting the censorship. So, yeah.
Us doesn't shy away from a lawsuit. But this time, it's the Aussie E-Safety Commissioner in his line of fire in a censorship versus free speech smackdown.
The tech titan's decision to take legal action against the Australian government all started with a post made by a Canadian man known online as Billboard Chris.
I'm Billboard Chris, and I'm on a mission to end what I consider to be child abuse all across the world, the business of trying to change the sex of children.
Chris took to social media platform X in February, slamming the appointment of Aussie trans activist Teddy Cook to a WHO panel that will draft policies for trans and gender diverse people. Chris was accused of misgendering Teddy in his post and making other disparaging remarks, inferring trans people belong in psychiatric wards.
I am offended because I am transgender. I have feelings. I'm a human being. This behaviour and this sort of discrimination, because it is discrimination, needs to stop.
After it was widely circulated online, last month the Australian E-Safety Commissioner issued a takedown notice, threatening a fine of up to almost $800,000. The notice states the post is deliberately degrading and it is likely that the material is intended to cause serious harm to the complainant. And while X has complied with the order and the post is no longer viewable in Australia, Elon Musk now intends to sue, a move his company says is to protect its users' freedom of speech.
I don't think any unelected bureaucrat, or any elected bureaucrat for that matter, should be determining what we're allowed to say online.
So, was this an example of censorship gone too far, or a necessary measure to keep vulnerable Australians safe?
There was no incitement to violence or anything like that. This is just my opinion, and I'm entitled to it.
While I believe that everyone is entitled to an opinion, I believe that everyone is also entitled to live with dignity.
This is surprising because I guess the question is about where the line is. I mean, I was, listening to it going, if the E-Safety Commissioner sees that there was an intention to harm and to hurt someone's feelings.
Oh, really?
Internet for? I like.
Is that what the Commissioner is for?
Not that I endorse whatever was said in the tweet, but it feels like it's I don't think anyone's been able to draw up these lines, although it does seem that whenever we get into these discussions, it's always the subject of trans people, and the outrage seems disproportionate proportionate to the threat or whatever, you know, particular people think. It just seems very bizarre that this is what we keep getting dragged into when we talk about freedom of speech, when there are other topics in the world.
The online abuse directed towards the trans community, I think, is out of control. It's only getting worse. However, I do find this perplexing in just censoring this one and putting all of this effort on this one particular tweet from the e-safety commissioner.
I don't get it at all. I don't get anything about this. I don't get how Elon Musk plans to sue. There's no free speech law in Australia that would allow that, unless he thinks like she's made a decision she doesn't have the power under legislation to make, and it's a technical argument. But I'd be surprised if he does sue. And we know that
he's just saying this.
Yeah, we know that the e-safety spokesperson said they haven't received anything that would amount to a formal legal approach or anything like that. So I don't know if it'll happen. But yes, the point you make, do we want the government, and let's just call the e-safety commissioner the government for this conversation, do we want the government scanning X and picking out individual tweets that it doesn't like?
Because for one person, what's seen as harassment or abuse is another person's free speech or another person's political or personal opinion. And that line, I don't think anyone's been able to...
No, there are clear lines around incitement of violence, things like that, and that would be... But there would be other legislation to deal with that anyway, I think. I just feel like if government's worried, and this isn't a criticism of the e-safety commissioner, by the way, who has a very small remit, but if government is really worried about abusive environments online, then come up with a structural response to the way that social media companies are allowed to operate in your place, right? Whether it be the filters that they are required to use or the way their algorithms work or something like that. But the idea of the government picking out individual tweets, something about that feels...
Especially on...
All right. There you have it, guys. Not picking out individual tweets, but just basically blanket everything so that, you know, a structured response. Listen to his language. Like, seriously, it's, what he's telling, by structured response, what he's saying is, you guys need to legislate. You guys need to use all of your power to stop all of these things from being online, so you don't have these individual tweets going
Otherwise,
on.
We're all going to know what Walid's up to. Not just us. Everybody will know. They can't have that, can you?
No, that's it. Interesting. All right. Now, on that though, there is this. Look, you know, everyone's like, nobody's got problems with trans. For years, nobody's had a problem with a trans person because they've been, you know, they've done shows. Dave, you would have attended a show. I've attended their shows. You know, like the issue is this targeting of the children. Okay, if somebody is allowed, children are entitled to actually have their innocence and, you know, to grow up feeling safe, secure, and without all of this kind of confusion. So if they get to adult age and they want to trans, they will be loved and supported by us. Leave kids alone. Stop targeting them now. However, there is this thing where there is lots of confusion, or seems to be a lot more confusion, but that is because of this.
01. These animals that we know are genetic males have been exposed to atrazine for their entire life, and many of these genetic males now are turning into females.
All right, the sound on that's not too good, but that's Dr. Tyrone, and what he's it's basically the atrazine that's in the glyphosate that is converting. Basically, it's overloading the system, the chemicals. It's an endocrine disruptor, and so you've got frogs that are transitioning into females. It's, you know, turn the frogs gay. There's that song that we've played about Alex Jones when he was talking about how it's turning the frogs gay.
Is that what happened to Wally Salad or whatever his name is, baby? I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so these studies have been done. They know that it's this chemical that is doing this to these people, and so, like, you know, it's just basically all there. Really, all the information's there that's required.
This is what they do to us, guys. They get us in every area they can. I've told you. Okay, every area. We've explained it all. We got clips here backing up a lot of stuff I've said. Guys, we can't even get to them. Right?
We cannot get to them. We do have this shot, though, and that is of the food that is being sprayed. And I don't think this is basically these sprinklers. Now, I haven't seen these in Australia, but so, yeah, that's
yeah, they do have this in some market, in some Coles places and that, cazz. I'm sure they do, mate. I've seen this, yeah, a long time ago too, because I don't go in there.
Yeah, all right. So you've got these being sprayed directly onto the food, and we all thought it was water. And anyway, but, you know, look, we're going to win this and we're going to turn it around. We're going to clean up all these people's systems.
Exactly
All
right.
right.
Certainly turning on mass immigration. The punters have been yelling out for ages, enough is enough. And now it's the institutions and the business leaders jumping on the bandwagon. Recently, it was the outgoing boss of the National Australia Bank, Ross McEwen, was saying Australia must cut immigration unless we can solve the housing crisis. And you don't have to be a banker on millions of bucks to know that. Builders and tradies have been saying for ages we cannot keep up with demand. And we're never going to catch up unless immigration slows right down. The latest institution to wake up to this is the National Bank of Canada. It has declared Canada is caught in a population trap. Canada's National Bank says, we agree that immigration is good for our potential GDP, but all good things have their limits. They say Canada currently lacks the infrastructure and capital stock to adequately absorb current population growth. It says that above a certain number, population growth is an impediment to our economic well-being. Now,
yes, yes, yes.
Mate, it's just a clown show.
I know. But look, I just wanted to get to this really tragic message because, like, I mean, actually, let's go with the eclipse first because this is interesting.
Afternoon, folks. I hate that I have to make this video, but here we go. With the solar eclipse happening in a few days and about 1 billion conspiracy theories going around the internet, let's break down one thing that's relatively stupid and then something legitimately concerning. First, just when I thought I'd heard it all, I found a new level of internet lunacy the other day. Someone was saying that this entire eclipse thing is fake because the purported track of the shadow is going the wrong way, they said. Their quote, "Look at how the shadow goes west to east. That's not how the sun moves. The sun moves east to west over the earth, so this entire thing must not be real." Yeah, I'll take a moment to do this one in visual form. Shadows go the opposite way of the light source. For this, I need a desk, a pencil, and a flashlight on my phone. I'm moving the light back and forth, and we're going to see what the shadow of the pencil does. In this example, my flashlight is the sun, the pencil is the moon, projecting the eclipse shadow onto the earth, which is being played by the desk in this video. You see how the shadow moves in the opposite way of the light source? I know some of you must be laughing at this point, but that post has over 2 million views on Twitter. Yes, this is what you are supposed to see. When the light moves one way, the shadow moves the other. So yes, the shadow should be projected moving west to east, and the northern track that we have is due to Earth's tilt at this time of year relative to the sun. But the serious thing I want to mention, we all know the thing they pulled the last time an election year came around. I have been waiting for another one this year. A virus isn't going to cut it this time. So what's the plan? That's a good question, and I don't know the answer, but I can tell you this, they're running out of time. Now, eclipses happen 2 to 5 times a year. That's every year. They don't cause calamity or earthquakes or even have more than a mild psychological impact. Shooting sounding rockets into the ionosphere happens all the time, and this is not the first time NASA has done it during an eclipse. All of their missions get weird names, by the way. But I would not put shenanigans past the government, especially after living through the last 4 years. I can assure you of this. If something major happens during the eclipse, they did it. I'm just going to say it plainly like that. If something happens, the government did it. That wouldn't shock me. And I'm not talking about a solar flare or something. It is sunspot maximum, so that may even be said to be expected. I'm talking about something major with the grids, the internet, social unrest, military action, etc. If something happens, it was done on purpose and likely to begin interfering with the 2024 election process.
Now that is interesting, and the reason being is because we've also got this. So it's been revealed the US is collaborating with Chinese scientists to make bird flu strains more infectious and deadly as part of a $1 million project. And of course, you've got the bird flu pandemic, could be 100 times worse than the COVID. And you've also had ranchers in Texas.
Everyone's in there. Fear. Bullshit. Just, distraction.
They are angling at, or they are trying to get that down. And basically, T-Man has told us that there's more lockdowns coming as well.
Are trying very hard to bring back COVID lockdowns and mandates with all of their sudden fear-mongering about the new variants that are coming. Gee whiz, you know what else is coming? An election. They want to restart the COVID hysteria so they can justify more lockdowns, more censorship, more illegal drop boxes, more mail-in ballots, and trillions of dollars in payoffs to their political allies heading into the 2024 election. Does that sound familiar? These are
all right, so they're at it again.
They're not going to give up, guys. They are not going to give up, guys. All right, it's up to us, man. They just...
But then you've also got the situation of what's going on in the Ukraine. So Blinken was over there, who had a really unusual problem with his aircraft too, by the way. But
the determination of every country represented here at NATO remains rock solid. We will do everything that we can. Allies will do everything that they can to ensure that Ukraine has what it needs to continue to deal with Russia's ongoing aggression against Ukraine, an aggression that gets worse with every passing day. Ukraine will become a member of NATO. Our purpose at the summit is to help build a bridge to that membership and to create a clear pathway for Ukraine moving forward.
Of course, we believe that Ukraine...
What he's talking about is Ukraine joining NATO. Okay, so then NATO will have to go to war. You've also got the situation
I got some other news for him. Guess what? All your old Soviet bloc is going back to back to Russia. Okay, so these guys got no idea what's going on. Anyway.
All right, this is really sad, and I really wanted to play it because it's just this is why we do what we do.
This is an anonymous post from the boards. For those who cannot imagine what it's like to be vaxxed and living with once the evidence is available, I can answer you. It's a day-to-day grieving and cellular remorse. Many of us were just living our daily lives without any idea of WEF, UN, WHO, and do was what was on the grass in the mornings. Movies showed seeds of satanic practices, and we had no idea about blood-drunken celebrities. We trusted our doctors. I had mine for over 25 years. We knew our government lied at election times, and we voted the best we could based on the BS presented to us. We went about our lives innocently, working, raising kids, and babysitting grandkids, and many had not one person in our circles to warn us of the dangers. We didn't even know we had to do research. Unbelievable as that may seem, it's absolutely true, and that shocks others. So off we went and had the shots. Now us sheeples, as we are all referred to, are dying in our millions. Some suddenly, some are destined to slow, malingering, pain-filled deaths. But we are dying. And ironically, we are the evidence, the proof you will all use later. Some, I wish I knew the percentages, argued with others who knew the dangers and words and actions hurt both sides. And that is the greatest weapon of this psyop. It's actually greater than the vax itself. There is a level of toxic hatred and gloating online that condemns the vax to silence in regards to seeking help. I see it in the forums, how they are abused by total strangers. So we stay silent and die alone and unforgiven for our naivety and fear. But back to the point in question. It is hell. Living with the knowledge that I took 3 of them, that my wonderful, kind, hard-working husband took 4, that our children and grandchildren had them. It haunts me. It breaks my soul. It has destroyed me, simply because we were naive. My husband and I were already done when a cousin contacted me through Messenger after seeing a post about my rapid decline in health and asked me questions. I then spoke to my sons, but it was too late. They had been done already. It's reading endless detox protocols and wondering if they truly work or if they too are part of the BS, because how would we ever know, as there is no long-term proof? It's endless medical tests that come back normal, and you just know that feel the changes in your body. It's seeing the videos of the calamari clots, then reading about the graphene microblades slicing up veins and spikes adhering like Velcro to tissues and organs. It's the breathlessness and palpitations on slightest exertion that doctors can't explain. It's the knowing that it was for nothing, though we believed it was for the best of intentions. It's this tattoo on my arm of the vax batch numbers that I use to open conversations and share my adverse reactions with every doctor, specialist, and pathology, radiologist, and ambulance paramedic I meet. It's knowing that any second could be it. The last one I breathe before I die. It's grief, deep, empty, gut-wrenching grief for all my family and friends, all those I love and care for. It's loss. the loss of my future dreams and plans, the loss of my husband and family. It's the pain felt by the name-calling and ongoing online abuse. I may be a sheeple to some and cop endless abuse online for speaking up with my truth, but that will not stop me. Not every vax person acted like an a-hole when approached by someone who cared enough to take that risk. Yet we all have been tarred with that one brush, and it's there that humanity devolved even further. And they did not have to do a thing except sit back and watch us all fall apart.
Dave, you're on mute.
Okay, what do you say to that? Yeah, far out, you know. It's the world we live in, guys. Yeah, it's terrible. It's disgraceful. It's disgusting. It's Luciferian. It's evil. It is just all fucked up. Okay, but guess what? It's where we are. And it's not nice. All right, but yeah, she has put that out like no one else could. That is absolutely heartbreaking, you know. But I mean, I don't know. But for the grace of God, walk I. But for the grace of God, walk I. That's
exactly.
about all I've got to say. Yeah,
that's it. All right. So look, I'll let you wrap up because we've got Kitty Idem, taking us out tonight.
All right, well, guys, there's just going to be a lot more coming out, right? So get ready for it. All lies are going to be exposed this year. All right, you can see what they're going to do to try and stop this election. Absolutely anything. So, again, you know, our American friends over there I was talking to today for a while, they're getting the next truckers movement ready to go in there. So, no doubt I'll get involved with that. You know what I mean? Where's our truckers here in Australia ready to go yet, guys? Are you? You know, I'm going to start and have to call out a few industries, I think, but yeah, what are we doing? Because these guys are really ramping it up. And this is what the deep state doesn't care, guys, because the Cash App creator, Bob Lee, stabbed to death in San Francisco. All right. Florida's senator husband dies after falling into a huge canyon in Utah. This happens to fall into a canyon. Good guy. Fell into a canyon. We fight until you don't fight until you have to, but when it's time to fight, you fight like you're the third monkey on the ramp to Noah's Ark. And brother, it's starting to rain. I thought that was a pretty good saying. Fight like the third monkey, guys. Okay, only two got on. Iranian newspaper headline: the storm is coming. Serious. That's an Iranian headline. All done in, like, you know, nice graphics and everything. Storm is coming. The Tehran Times.
Well, actually, you know what's also interesting is Trump said last week that the storm is coming. It's behind me. It's following me. And then Putin said earlier this week that he's got a special army group, like a Spetsnaz, and they're called the Storm. And then and then they've come out and said the storm is coming. So it's very topical at the moment.
Guys, the storm's here. You know, we can now clarify from eyewitnesses that there was explosions on the bridge. Okay, you know, like it's all, you know, it's just going to go on, guys. It's going to be pop, 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 right? We told you this was going to come. And, yeah, this is the time we all wanted to get to, wasn't it? We don't want to see what's going on. We don't want all this bullshit going on. But guess what? The deep state's going to bring it on. Okay, but in the background, I do believe, you know, they're getting counted as much as they can get counted. But, you know, Trump's even warning you there, all right, that they're going to try and bring in the lockdowns, guys. All right, we've heard the rumblings over here already. All right, so are you going to conform? Are you? Suppose we'll know what sort of lockdown it is when it gets here. But anyway. Look, Captain Kyle tomorrow, guys, 11 a.m. in the morning. All right, we've got that on.
SG Sunday.
Oh, when?
Sunday.
Oh, an SG Sunday. There you go. All right. Shit, let me get my act together. All right, there you go. Got SG Sunday. Captain Kyle tomorrow, guys. Get out, do what you're doing because you've been doing it absolutely brilliantly, guys. So just get out there, get the conversation. Cazz, did you have that little picture of what they found up there in
No, I didn't get that in. I'll do that on Monday.
Put it on Monday night. But yeah, people are out there, guys. They got the signs up out on their fencing and stuff, right? Stop the rot, sack the lot, sign the motion. All right, so get to John's website, get to our website on this channel, stop the rot, sack the lot.org. Keep sending this stuff out. All right, get people to the motion. All right, and just keep promoting, guys. All right, every day we're getting closer and closer, and they know it. You're exactly right. They know it. All right. So as much as they're pushing, we got to push, guys. So let's go for it. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you in the morning with Captain Kyle, and then obviously Sunday with SG. Thanks, Cazz.
Have you heard a horror story called the First World War? All the young boys went and died for the Western cause, and they were told it won't happen again. This would be the end. And sure enough, you know what, there's a Second World War. The same horror story that you heard before. And pretty soon you know you see a tear go by out of someone's eye. Seems like the battle keeps raging within, and we are waiting for the new war to begin. And then you see the young boys running to the line on fire, and then you send their bodies home for their mamas and their daddies to cry. Your politicians lying, and everybody crying. Our boys keep on dying. Whoa, well this might be so late, boy, I don't understand. You ain't in the plan. Whoa, you got an oil well, and I want you to tell you stay gone to hell. Whoa, you get a big gun and I get a bigger one. Everybody else to come. Whoa, well, whoa, yeah, that's a whoa, yeah, whoa. The next stop Korea, then Vietnam. Now we're all fighting next to Uncle Sam, and they were told it won't happen again. This will be the end. Then you got them dancing in the Middle East, standing with their mates for a thing called peace. And pretty soon you know you see a tear go by out of someone's eye. It seems like the battlefield raging within, and we are waiting for the new war to begin. And then you see the young boys running to the line on fire, and then you send their bodies home for their mamas and their daddies to cry. Your politicians lying, and everybody crying.